I just feel she's not smart. Check with your medical provider. I just feel she's not qualified. Now it's a conversation. I just feel she couldn't do the job. Hi, I'm Dr. V. Boykin, a former single mom, stripper, felon, now doctor, keynote speaker, and author of Fix Your Face and Watch Your Tone, Women Know What's Needed. I help marginalized communities achieve a more equitable personal and professional experience. This is a video I did not want to make, and I didn't want to make it because I don't want it to be true, and I don't want to feed stereotypes that make it more true, but we have to talk about it anyways. Why do women get treated differently when it comes to elections and holding public office? Here we go. You know what's coming. So Hillary Clinton said it should not be an impossible task for a woman to achieve their own goals. I think we can all generally agree with that. However, in this political climate that we have now, doesn't always ring true. So in 2024, Sara Savat wrote an article that highlighted Diana O'Brien's thoughts, and I'll link that below. Voters aren't universally biased against women leaders. In fact, they hold some positive stereotypes about women as well. For example, voters report that women are more trustworthy, compassionate, less corrupt, and better on issues like childcare, education, and social justice. The World Values Survey said 15% of American respondents agreed that men make better political leaders than women do, while women candidates actually win at rates equal to men. But they typically have to be more qualified to do so. And we think about a candidate that's been a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and vice president. There still seems to be some confusion about, are they qualified to hold office? Or are they dumb? I don't think you can be a prosecutor and attorney general and senator and vice president and be dumb. That should be one word that's totally removed from the conversation. And why do you have to be overqualified? As someone sitting here with 4 degrees, where then my degrees are still pulled apart, or my expertise is still pulled apart, or I'm still sidelined, marginalized, or discounted, I understand needing to be more qualified. And when you talk about intersectionality, which is when 2 traditionally marginalized identities overlap, Black woman, queer Black woman, Black queer man, brown woman, queer, you get the idea. Or in fact, even disabled. And especially if you're disabled and someone who is a person of color or BIPOC, Black, Indigenous person of color, it just gets harder. And you have to be more and more and more qualified. Why is that? Why is there this idea that women have to be perfect whenever they step into the spotlight? They have to look perfect. Their tone needs to be perfect. Watch your tone. Their face needs to be perfect. Fix your face. And they can't shrill, shriek, or be passionate. What is that about? Part of me thinks that it has to do with potentially what happens when you're a teenager and you start to rebel and you're rebelling against your parents. And the mom was the one that was traditionally in the home. So you're replaying some sort of childhood trauma as you're looking at the qualification of women and women leadership. I'd like to think it's not that, because once we're adults, we're all responsible for our own behavior. And it's your job inherently to progress beyond the childhood lessons that you learned or didn't learn, or how you learned to share in kindergarten and be respectful of people, or how you didn't learn that. But why is it that women need to be overqualified? Why do they need to be perfectionists? Why is there a question of, well, they're hormones, or they're unhinged, or they're unstable? By the way, shame on you to any woman who has ever described another woman as unhinged, unstable, or hormonal. By the way, men have hormones too. And as they get older, boy, do they need some more testosterone. Check with your medical provider. But I can think of many cases where men just get unhinged because of their hormones as well. So there's that. But when you think about it, what is this idea that someone who can literally be a convicted felon, accused of cheating on his wife while she was pregnant and found guilty of countless felonies, why do those qualifications stack up against someone who's been a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and vice president? And if it was a man, especially let's talk about a cis white male who's in their middle age instead of older age, and they were running against somebody with that track record versus someone who literally has been a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and vice president, would this even be a conversation? But when you put those qualifications into the body of a woman and a Black woman, now it's a conversation. And now to the ugly underbelly. The conversation around Black men not supporting Kamala Harris. I'd like to think this isn't true. I'd like to think this is totally made up. And I'm not even sure how I want to formulate thoughts around this because I have Black men in my family that definitely support Kamala Harris. But I also have some Black men in my family who don't. And when they talk about it, they talk about her qualifications. But for some reason, they feel that this woman isn't qualified to even run, let alone hold public office. Even though she was elected as vice president, even though she was elected as senator, even though she was a prosecuting attorney general, even though she was a prosecutor before that, maybe she's not qualified. Maybe she's not smart. She literally went to the premier or one of the premier historically Black colleges or universities. She's degreed. She's credentialed. She's over-credentialed. But yet it's not enough. And I don't know if it's Black men that are replaying trauma perpetrated against them by Black women. I don't know why these Black men who were probably raised either with a strong Black woman as part of the home or the only parental figure in the home, and that cuts across all races, but I'm talking about Black men. I don't know why they now have this sense of distrust, this sense of disdain, this sense of needing this Black woman candidate to be more than, to be almost perfect to gain their respect, their trust, and their vote. And when you ask them about the actual issues, they can't give you the issues. That's why I'm having this conversation. Because if they could say, you know what, when she voted for XYZ, I didn't appreciate it. When she went up against big banks, I think she made a mistake in her prosecution. When she was a senator, I felt that the way that she put forth this bill didn't jive for me. That's one thing. But it goes back to their feeling. I just feel she's not smart. I just feel she's not qualified. I just feel she's an idiot. I just feel she couldn't do the job. I don't like the way she talks. I don't think she's smart. By the time you're a senator and a prosecutor and an attorney general and a vice president, smart shouldn't come into it. Your ability to navigate challenging situations shouldn't come into it. Your proven track record of success shouldn't come into it. And we've elected men that have never held a political office and called them qualified. Never been elected to anything. We say they can be president. We don't question their qualifications. They can go and be very unhinged. We never say they're unhinged, not in the same way that we refer to women. So I'm not sure what it is other than sexism, misogyny, bias, patriarchy. None of the things that plug the gaps or connect the dots between a voter who is uninformed, saying they just don't like her, they just don't trust her, they just don't think she looks smart, they don't like the suit color she wears. None of those things, none of them add up to anything other than the ugly underbelly of our societal stereotypes. And this cuts across literally political party, because we treat Republican women and Democratic women and independent women with the same amount of disdain. And personally, I find it quite disgusting, and it makes me question your intelligence. So let's have a conversation about topics and issues. Tell me about a vote she did. Tell me about a bill she suggested. Tell me about an action that she took. Tell me about a prosecution that she lost that makes you so concerned. And then I'm happy to have a conversation with you about why your bias, your patriarchal view of the world, your blatant disrespect of the female gender isn't what's at stake. And instead, it's the issues. I welcome the conversation. Thanks.